This video is about why New Year, New You fails for most men and what actually creates real change. Not motivation, not goals, not hype. The purpose of this video is to strip the lies and give you the psychological framework that strong men use to transform permanently. If you are tired of restarting every January, this is for you. Subscribe to the channel if you want discipline, clarity, and results instead of motivation talk. New Year motivation feels explosive at first, because your brain is hardwired to react to novelty, and the flipping of the calendar tricks it into thinking something fundamental has changed. It gives you a surge of dopamine which feels like unstoppable energy. The gym feels easy, waking up early feels natural, planning your goals feels inevitable. But this spike is borrowed energy. It is borrowed from emotion, and not earned through discipline or structure. Dopamine is designed to make you start, not sustain behavior. And once the novelty fades and the excitement drops, your motivation collapses just as quickly. The man who felt unstoppable in January faces the same resistance, friction, excuses, and laziness as before. Most men quit by February, not because they are weak, but because they built their goals on feelings instead of systems. Motivation is a spark that ignites action, but structure is the engine that keeps it burning. Real progress survives low energy, bad moods, boredom, delayed results, and the monotony of everyday life. If your success depends on how you feel today, it is already doomed. The truth nobody tells you in January is that motivation is a liar, systems are honest, and the men who win do not ask if they feel like acting. They ask what their systems demand today. This is why so many projects, resolutions, and promises die quietly after the initial rush, because feelings fade but well-built systems endure. Men do not wake up wanting a new body or better habits. What they truly crave is relief from the gnawing self-disgust that haunts them when they see themselves in the mirror. They want to stop feeling behind in life, to stop feeling like everyone else is moving forward while they are stuck. They want respect from themselves, because without it every success feels hollow. The real hunger is not for aesthetics or routine. It is for inner authority and a sense of power that only comes from conquering weakness. The mistake most men make is trying to escape their old self with empty promises, fleeting motivation, and wishful thinking. They think wanting something better is enough. They think imagining a new version of themselves will create it. But desire alone cannot kill the old habits, the old patterns, the old identity. Change does not come from wanting better. It comes from doing harder, from stepping into discomfort when the body screams no, from executing the actions that the weak part of you wants to avoid. Every push, every refusal to quit, every extra rep, every early morning, every sacrifice compounds into a new self. And this is brutal. It is not cute. It is not easy. It is not comfortable. This is why most men fail. They want the outcome without embracing the struggle. They want a new identity without earning it through relentless action. True transformation requires killing the old man through repeated, painful, necessary effort. There is no shortcut, no inspirational quote, no magical New Year reset. Only the work that forces the new version of yourself into existence. The only way to respect yourself is to face yourself, challenge yourself, and do what you thought you could not, every day, until the man you despise no longer exists, because he has been replaced by someone forged in action, discipline, and uncompromising effort. Most men believe they must become someone before they can act. They say, I will act confident when I become disciplined. I will lead when I feel powerful. I will show strength when I finally feel like it. But this is backwards. Identity is never granted by feelings. It is built by evidence. Every hard choice you make, every action you take that pushes against resistance, every time you lift when tired, work when bored, say no when weak, every moment you honor the grind instead of the excuse. These moments cast votes for a new version of yourself. Repetition is the law of identity. The mind does not lead. The body and action lead. You cannot think your way into discipline, confidence, or strength. You must act your way into it. Each small, brutal, uncomfortable act accumulates like deposits in a bank you cannot see, and over time the account overflows. And your brain finally accepts the truth. Your identity changes, not because you wanted it to, not because you imagined it, but because you imagined it. but because your actions created undeniable proof. The old excuses, the old weak self, the lazy patterns, they fall away naturally. You do not wait to feel like a man to act like one. You act like a man until you become one. The world does not hand respect to intentions, it responds to evidence. Your life does not transform from thought alone. It transforms from repeated, relentless, visible effort. The men who win understand this instinctively. They do not ask "Who am I?" before moving. They ask "What must I do?" and let their actions forge the answer. Identity follows action. It never precedes it. And if you try to wait for the right feeling, the right inspiration, the right mood, you will remain the same man, indefinitely, trapped in the cycle of wanting without becoming, dreaming without proving, wishing without achieving. Action is the hammer, repetition is the forge, and identity is the steel that emerges only when the fire of effort has burned long and hard enough to leave nothing of the old weak self behind. Goals feel exciting. They give a rush of anticipation, a hit of dopamine, a vision of what could be. But they are fragile. They live outside of you. They can be achieved or missed. They are dependent on conditions you cannot control. A goal is a destination. It is a single point in time. It does not protect you when life pushes back. It does not shape your daily reality. It does not armor you against failure or boredom. It makes you fragile, because your sense of worth becomes tied to hitting that target, instead of building strength along the way. Systems, on the other hand, make you dangerous. They live inside of you. They are the routines, rules, and non-negotiable actions that define who you are every single day. A system is not a hope for the future. It is your present armor and weapon. It does not care if you feel like it. It does not negotiate with your moods. It does not depend on luck or timing. When you miss a goal, you feel like a failure. Your self-esteem dips. Your confidence wavers. Your mind cheats and justifies quitting. But when you follow a system, you win every day you show up. Each act of discipline reinforces your identity. Each repetition compounds into power. And even if the result is delayed or imperfect, you are stronger, tougher, and unbreakable because you followed the process. Strong men understand this instinctively. They obsess over the system, the process, the daily grind. They do not worship the outcome. They do not wait for inspiration or permission. They make themselves unstoppable by showing up consistently, by doing the work no one sees, by trusting that the cumulative effect of relentless action is what creates results. Goals are temporary, fleeting, unreliable, but systems are permanent. They forge the man regardless of circumstances. They turn emotion into evidence, weakness into strength, doubt into dominance, and obsession with outcome. Without a system is nothing more than gambling with your life, a dangerous game where the house always wins. If you want real, unshakable power, you build a system that owns your days, dictates your actions, and forces your identity to evolve with every brutal, unskippable choice you make. Real change never comes from comfort. It is born in the heat of discomfort. In the moments when your body screams no, when your mind begs for an excuse, when every part of you wants to quit. Real change starts when pain becomes louder than comfort. When the dissatisfaction with your life is so sharp it cannot be ignored. If your life is too comfortable, you will never change. Soft routines, easy work, predictable outcomes, and the endless pursuit of convenience anesthetize the mind and body. That is why most men remain average, trapped in mediocrity, moving through life with small bursts of ambition, followed by months of stagnation. They avoid discomfort and call it balance. They rationalize pain. They hide from struggle. They convince themselves that avoiding challenge is wisdom, rather than cowardice. But pain is not the enemy. It is not something to run from. It is not a signal that you are weak or failing. Pain is information. It is a compass pointing to the areas where you are stagnant, the habits that are weak, the fears that are unreleased, the opportunities you are avoiding. Pain exposes the limits you have imposed on yourself. It screams the truth that you are capable of more than you allow. If you ignore it, you stay trapped. If you listen, it guides you. If you act on it, you transform. The strongest men seek out this signal. They chase the moments that terrify them, the workouts that break them, the conversations that test them, the goals that seem impossible. Because each encounter with pain forces adaptation. Each act against discomfort
votes for a stronger identity.
Pain is the raw, brutal teacher that refines you, and the louder it gets, the more undeniable it becomes that you cannot remain the same man. Discomfort is a call to arms. Weakness cannot survive it. Excuses cannot withstand it. Only action, only discipline, only relentless pursuit of challenge can respond correctly to its message. Ignore it, and you decay. Heed it, and you evolve. The men who win understand instinctively that pain is not a punishment. It is the roadmap, the GPS of transformation. It is proof that you are alive, proof that the old self is ready to be destroyed, and that the new self is waiting to be built through courage, grit, and unflinching persistence. Willpower is glorified, but it is limited. It is a finite resource that fades under stress, fatigue, and boredom. Most men rely on it like a crutch, thinking they can fight every temptation, overcome every distraction, resist every weakness with sheer mental effort. But willpower alone is unreliable. It can be depleted, it can be tricked, it can fail when you need it most. Environment, on the other hand, is undefeated. It shapes behavior silently and relentlessly. It does not require effort. It does not get tired. It controls more than motivation ever can. If junk food is near you, you will eat it. No amount of willpower changes that. If distractions are within reach, your mind will wander, hours will disappear, habits will die. Strong men understand this. They do not rely on feelings, inspiration, or motivation. They know these are fleeting. They design their environment to remove weakness before it has a chance to act. They place discipline in the architecture of their life. They make good habits the default, bad habits invisible or impossible. The gym is ready. The food is planned. The workspace is free of distraction. Their phone, social media, and toxic influences are controlled before they even attempt self-control. Temptation is preemptively eliminated. Every object, every corner, every decision in their surroundings is aligned with the man they are building. This is why success feels effortless for some and impossible for others. It is not because one is stronger, smarter, or luckier. It is because environment creates the path of least resistance toward greatness or mediocrity. Men who rely on
willpower alone
will falter. Men who master their environment never have to rely on weakness to fight weakness. They build a life where temptation is optional and discipline is automatic, where excuses do not exist, where the strongest version of themselves is the natural outcome of their surroundings. This is not convenience, this is strategy, and the men who understand it dominate, because they make victory inevitable before they even take the first action. Going hard for 2 weeks feels impressive. It gives a rush. It looks like effort. It fools the mind into thinking progress has been made, but it changes nothing. Intensity without repetition is meaningless. It is fireworks, not steel, going steady for 2 years. On the other hand, transforms everything. The small, brutal, unglamorous actions repeated daily reshape the mind, body, and character in ways short bursts never can. The brain adapts not to extremes, not to occasional heroics, but to what is constant, to what is relentless. The man who shows up when he does not feel like it, who pushes when bored, who endures discomfort without pause, slowly rewires his identity. Small victories compounded over time become unshakable strength. Small, brutal consistency is invisible to the world. It is tedious. It is boring. It does not bring praise, attention, or validation. That is why it works. The loud, flashy efforts fade, but the quiet, persistent grind builds unstoppable momentum. Excellence is a habit, not a spectacle. Discipline is a muscle, and repetition is the only way to strengthen it. The men who last, the men who dominate, the men who are remembered, are not those who burn bright for a week. They are those who burn steadily for years. They understand that patience is a weapon, boredom is a friend, repetition is the forge. And if you can endure the monotony, if you can embrace the grind every day without reward, every day without recognition, every day without feeling powerful, your life will eventually reflect the effort. The transformation becomes inevitable. Habits become automatic, your identity becomes unquestionable, and no single moment of weakness can undo decades of relentless, horizontal, unstoppable work. Consistency beats intensity because life is long, and the men who survive are not the loudest, they are the ones who endure. When praise disappears, when applause fades, when nobody notices, discipline is exposed for what it really is. Most men are trained to perform for attention, to chase validation, to feel motivated only when others witness their effort. If you only act when seen, you are not strong, you are superficial. Your strength is conditional, built on eyes and approval. The real work, the real transformation, the unshakable power, happens alone, in the silence where no one can clap for you, in the late nights when the body is screaming quit, in the early mornings when every instinct demands sleep, in the empty gym where nobody sees you push heavier than yesterday, in the repetitive grind, where boredom is your only companion. This is where character is forged, where ego is burned away and replaced with relentless focus. Silent discipline builds dangerous confidence, because it is unshakable. It does not rely on cheers or comparison. It grows quietly, patiently, ruthlessly. It accumulates like compound interest in the soul. The men who survive, dominate, and rise above the herd do not seek attention for their work. They embrace the unseen, the unnoticed, the ordinary moments where action is hard and desire is absent. They understand that praise is a reward for the weak, for those who need external approval. But real men measure themselves by what they do when no one is watching, when the world is asleep, when every part of them wants to quit. This is where strength becomes invisible, dangerous, permanent, and it is impossible to fake. The more you train in the unseen, the more your confidence becomes unbreakable, the more your identity becomes undeniable, the more you become a man who can survive any challenge, because he has already survived the hardest test, himself in silence, pushing when no one believed he could, enduring when no one cared, acting when no one noticed, and in that relentless, horizontal, brutal accumulation of private effort, he becomes unstoppable. The fastest way to change is not to chase inspiration, not to wait for motivation, not to dream of a better self. It is to pick one standard and never break it, one non-negotiable habit that defines your day, your identity, your life, because consistency is the hammer, repetition is the forge, and every compromise is a vote for weakness. Choose one action that cannot be skipped, one rule that cannot be bent, whether it is training your body, reading to grow your mind, or working relentlessly toward your goals. Make it sacred, make it untouchable, train daily, push your limits every day, even when tired, even when bored, even when every part of you wants to quit. Read daily, feed your mind with knowledge, strategy and insight. Make growth habitual, inevitable, unavoidable. Work daily, execute the tasks that build wealth, skill and strength. Do not negotiate with yourself. Excuses are the enemy, hesitation is poison, compromise is weakness, momentum is born from reliability. It is the accumulation of tiny victories, the building of unbreakable trust in yourself. Each day you honor your standard, you reinforce your identity, you strengthen the version of yourself that does not quit, that does not waver, that does not negotiate with comfort or fear. The men who transform fast understand this principle. They do not scatter their energy. They do not chase multiple habits at once. They choose one standard and hammer it into their life. With brutal persistence, the effect compounds exponentially, because once you build unshakable reliability in one area, it spills into every other area of life. Discipline becomes contagious, focus becomes automatic, self-respect becomes inevitable, the path becomes clear, the man you are building becomes undeniable, change stops being a wish and becomes a law. It is horizontal, relentless and permanent, and the only way to fail is to stop showing up, to break the standard, to allow negotiation with weakness. But the man who honors his chosen rule daily creates momentum that carries him far beyond anything short-term motivation could ever achieve, because he has built a machine of transformation inside himself that no external circumstance can destroy. You do not need a new you. The idea of a new self at the start of a calendar year is a lie sold by motivation and wishful thinking. The truth is, the man sitting in the mirror today is the same man who will sit there tomorrow unless you force change through action. You do not need fantasies or resolutions. You need higher standards, because standards dictate behavior, rules dictate identity, and actions define the man you become. Same body, same mind, different rules. Your physiology and history do not matter. Your past habits do not matter. What matters is what you decide to tolerate today and what you refuse to compromise on. Raise the standard and behavior follows. Show up with relentless consistency. Demand more from yourself than anyone else does. Refuse to accept shortcuts, mediocrity, or excuses. Let the new rules become non-negotiable. Let them govern your actions until they are automatic. Let them build a version of you that no calendar, no motivation, no fleeting emotion can destroy. Lower the standard, and nothing changes. Desires without discipline remain dreams. Intentions without structure remain empty. Motivation without rules is a temporary high that collapses under real pressure. The men who win understand that transformation is horizontal, brutal, and relentless. It is built not on inspiration, but on the unyielding enforcement of standards that define what is acceptable and what is not. The old self dies not because you want it gone, but because the rules of your life become incompatible with weakness, hesitation, and avoidance. New standards are proof that you are serious, that you are willing to endure, that you are willing to act when nobody is watching, that you are willing to do what the weak will not. And in this simple horizontal, brutal truth lies the only path to real, permanent change, where the man you want to become is not imagined, but forged through the rules you refuse to break, the actions you refuse to skip, and the relentless, uncompromising life you build day after day, until the new you is no longer a lie, but an undeniable fact. If this video hit you, it means you are ready to stop restarting and start building. Change is not dramatic. It is deliberate, quiet, relentless. Subscribe if you want content that makes you stronger, not comfortable. This is where weak cycles end.